certification.
Well, we are going to break away from the impeachment proceedings. We'll keep monitoring those proceedings, and we'll get back to them in just a few minutes. But we want to get you to some weather updates.
We have a lot going on in the forecast, so let's get over to Justin Horn, who's tracking the latest. Justin?
Hey there, guys. It was busy yesterday, of course. We had some ice overnight in some spots, especially up across the hill country. I want to share a picture with you real quick and show you what's going on across the hill country. Trees down. There has been some ice accumulation up there. Now, most of this has come to an end, but temperatures are still below freezing, so that ice is going to stick around. We may see a little bit more as we get into tomorrow. Looking at road temperatures, most of the hill country is still right at that freezing mark, so there still could be a few slick spots. You see the road temperatures, though, here in San Antonio, we're in good shape. Most of the roads here in town are just fine today. It's going to be tomorrow into Monday, Sunday into Monday, that will start to have some more issues. Outside, cloudy skies, 35 degrees, northerly winds at about 10 miles per hour, gusting to 18. Wind chills are definitely in place today. And you see the radar, it's quiet. We don't have anything out there, just cloud cover. So we get a little bit of a reprieve from the wintry weather today. Air temperatures, again, 35 here in town, but it feels like 27, feels like 26 in Kerrville, feels like 20 in New Braunfels, feels like 21 in Rock Springs. Forecast today keeps us in the 30s. Wind chills will stay in the 20s. Northerly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Then we watch our next storm system, which is out over California right now. It will swing through Texas as we get into tomorrow. And when that happens, we're expecting more precipitation. The question is, in what form will it be? I think here across San Antonio, it may be just cold enough that we get some freezing rain, potentially even a little bit of sleet in some spots. And that'll continue into tomorrow afternoon with maybe a little bit more widespread activity. And again, we'll have to watch the hill country very quickly, which is an area that's already seen ice, and then some roads here in San Antonio. Some of the bridges and overpasses, especially into tomorrow. Then we get our next storm system. We go Sunday night into Monday. This is the bigger one that is expected to bring us a mix of freezing rain and sleet that may transition over to snow by Monday morning. We could see some decent accumulations around the area of ice and even maybe a little bit of snow. And that will cause some serious travel issues as we get into Monday morning and through the day on Monday, even into Tuesday morning. Even though the precipitation will be gone, we still could see some issues because temperatures will stay below freezing. And we're not done yet, because as we get into Wednesday of next week, there is another shot at some wintry weather. Pretty incredible to see this round after round here, and these temperatures are going to close in on record levels. So here's what we're thinking. Things to think about now. Slicker, icy roads starting tomorrow through midday Tuesday. You don't want to forget about the people, pets, pipes, and plants. I know we say it all the time, but it's really important this go round. And make sure your heater is working. Be careful with space heaters and check on those without heat. Here's our 7-day forecast here. 40% chance of showers, maybe some ice and sleet tomorrow. 35 for a high on your Saturday. 34 Sunday, 70% chance of ice and maybe a transition over to snow. I do think we'll get some clearing on Monday, but notice the temperature stays below freezing. 14 Tuesday morning, that's it. And 33 on Tuesday, another chance of a wintry mix on Wednesday with a 30% shot. This is quite a winter weather stretch that we're dealing with here, guys.
And we know, Justin, that you and the rest of the weather team are going to keep up with this for the rest of the day and all through the weekend and into Monday and Tuesday as well.
Absolutely. Have that KSAT weather app with you. We'll continue to update.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Hundreds of drivers, several miles, and countless hours. According to TxDOT, a major crash near mile marker 477 near I-10 West in Curry County led to long delay and icy conditions.
Stephen Cavazos shows us how traffic was frozen and drivers left nowhere to go.
Well, TxDOT is calling this an unprecedented event, and although the scene here may look picture perfect, it led to some dangerous conditions for drivers. We drove down I-10 West in Kerr County, headed toward Kimball County early this morning, but our travels came to an abrupt standstill that had us sitting in our vehicle for a little over 4 hours. But for some, it was much longer. We took to Twitter and asked what drivers had been experiencing. Some told us they had been waiting in their vehicles since 10 last night. TxDOT says these icy conditions and a major accident led to the delay. We also reached out to the Kimball County Sheriff's Office. They responded to several crashes, but fortunately, none were fatal. They did not provide us any more information than that. Now, we're told that TxDOT crews used brine, which is a mixture of salt and water, to clean up the area. Now, TxDOT is also urging that people use extreme caution over the next few days and, if possible, avoid traveling. Reporting out here in Kerr County, Stephen Cavazos, KSAT 12 News.
Yeah, obviously that bad weather causing some very icy road and conditions and dicey as well.
That's right. And of course, with bad weather, bad traffic. We have our traffic authority, Samuel King, here for more. Drivers, what can we expect?
That was a mess up there on I-10, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
It's still a bit of a mess, but it is improving, and we're glad that Steve and Hazian were able to get out of their vehicle, because I was a little worried about them this morning heading up there, because it was a pretty bad situation. So here's a look at the maps, guys, when we're talking about this situation behind I-10. So this is Kerr County here. Then you get into Gillespie County, then you get into Kimball County there. So I-10, still some slowdowns, but it looks like the conditions have improved up there. But here's the look at where the closure was this morning. We're told the TxDOT, you actually cross TxDOT districts. So this is actually the San Angelo district once you get up toward a junction. And they're saying that they have been working to open I-10. So that's improving, but you see here 83. So if you know anyone out there, that's the issue now that they're trying to work on at the moment. So this is still a bad situation in the hill country. And as Justin and the weather team have been telling you, we are expecting more of the same throughout the weekend. And we'll all be here to walk you through that as well. Now, looking at TransGuide here in town, you can see here things looking fine for the most part. There's some stalls and nothing like we were seeing up in the hill country right now, and we hope it stays that way today. We'll have another update coming up. David and Alicia.
All right, Samuel, thank you very much. You know, driving in icy conditions can be tough on its own, but if you suddenly find yourself stuck in traffic, there's some things you need to keep in mind. Consumer Report says when it comes to stopping on ice, your all-wheel drive is not going to help. You need to let your anti-lock brakes do their thing. If they start to pulse against your foot, that means they're working. You just need to maintain some little pressure. And if your car does begin to slide, what do? There are two kinds of skids, oversteer and understeer.
With oversteer, it's very intuitive. You turn into the skid. When you gain grip, you end up going where you want to go. In understeer, you're turning, but the car's going straight ahead, and your gut is to want to dial in more steering. Don't do that. Keep the wheel steady where you're headed so that when you gain grip, you're going where you want to be.
Yeah, in both cases, you want to avoid abrupt motions, easy on the brakes and on the throttle until you gain control.
And another concern over the next few days, don't forget about your furry friends, or you could face a $300 fine. Animal Care Services is reminding pet owners to protect their animals, as the shelter has a zero-tolerance policy. As always, during chilly weather, it's best to bring pets, especially cats, indoors. If you can't do that, you can purchase or build an insulated doghouse or protective enclosure. Owners who do not cooperate could face a fine of $300 per violation, and animals believed to be in danger will be removed from the home. Another tip from ACS, bang on the hood of the vehicle before starting it. Sometimes cats like to rest near those warm engines.
And two families have had an especially tough time with the cold weather. That's because fire destroyed the duplex that they called home.
It broke out overnight on Montgomery Drive near New World Drive. As Katrina Weber reports, there's no word on how the fire started, but it ended with 8 people being displaced.
Where there had been smoke, Bexar County firefighters quickly learned there also was fire, all coming from a duplex in the 6600 block of Montgomery Drive.
Shortly after we arrived is when the flames broke through the roof, and then again, once it did that with the 20-mile-an-hour winds, it just completely ran across from one end to the other.
Nature was anything but helpful. Those strong wind gusts helped to fan the flames. The crews had been called here by a resident who noticed the fire in one of the garages around 2 a.m.
The neighbor that woke up to the smell of smoke went and got the other neighbors out of the house.
That includes this pet cat and a total of 8 people on both sides of the duplex. Safe, but forced outdoors on a frigid morning.
2 families being affected. One which is 3 adults and 1 child. The other one's 2 adults, 2 children.
Firefighters helped the families get out of the cold by taking them to a hotel, and it doesn't look like they'll be able to come back here anytime soon. Both sides of this duplex were destroyed. Reporting from Northeast Bexar County, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
And Edgewood ISD is not holding classes in person on Monday. Instead, they'll do remote learning. This, of course, is due to weather concerns. The district says Monday will be considered a regular school day. Students must log in on time to their class page. Office hours and in-person instruction will resume as normal on Tuesday, February 16th. Edgewood ISD also says any middle and high school events scheduled for today or Monday have been canceled.
And heads up, if you have coronavirus vaccination appointments coming up on Monday, all WellMed run community vaccination clinics will be closed due to the weather.
And taking a look at live cam right now, things are calm, but they're super chilly, and it's just going to get more messy this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to go to break, and we'll be back as we rejoin Special Report. Then we'll have another check of your weather coming up at 12:30.
We agree with the House managers, context does indeed matter. The inflammatory rhetoric from our elected officials must be considered as part of the larger context of Mr. Trump's speech at the Ellipse on January 6th. The inflammatory language from both sides of the aisle has been alarming, frankly. But this political discourse must be considered as part of these proceedings to contextualize Mr. Trump's words. We have some video to play that highlights some of what I'm talking about. I preface this video by noting I am not showing you this video as some excuse for Mr. Trump's speech. This is not whataboutism. I am showing you this to make the point that all political speech must be protected.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the.
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
Again, I did not show you their robust speech to excuse or balance out the speech of my client, for I need not. I showed you the video because in this political forum, all robust speech should be protected, and it should be protected evenly for all of us. As a brief aside, we should all reflect and acknowledge the rhetoric has gotten to be too much and over the top. It is grating on the collective well-being of the body politic, the citizens. Most would like it to stop. But the point is, when you see speech such as this, you have to apply the First Amendment evenly. Blindly. She is blind, Lady Justice. Question 1. Does the First Amendment apply to this chamber in these proceedings? The House manager's position, as stated in their trial brief, is, and I quote, "The First Amendment does not apply at all to an impeachment proceeding." That's their position. This is plainly wrong. The text of the First Amendment expressly restricts Congress from regulating speech. It says, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." To ignore the Constitution would be contrary to the oath of office of a United States Senator. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. Well, you all know the rest. No, the Senate cannot ignore the First Amendment. The Constitution itself limits the ability of the House to impeach to limited items, such as high crimes and misdemeanors. The position advanced by the House managers is essentially an unlimited impeachment standard without constitutional guardrails, unmoored to any specific legal test other than the unbridled discretion of Congress. This is distinctly not the intent of the framers. The framers were aware of the danger of any impeachment process that would make the president the mere creature of the legislature, a quote directly from the framers while debating the impeachment process on the floor of the Constitutional Convention of 1787. The framers were fearful that any impeachment process that gave Congress full discretion on the standard for impeachment would constitute nothing less than a violation, quote, a violation of the fundamental principle of good government. One founding father, James Wilson, wrote extensively on the impeachment process. Mr. Wilson was a renowned legal scholar at the time, a law professor at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. He was a major force in drafting and adopting the Constitution in 1787. He served as one of the first six Supreme Court justices, 1789 to 1798. He was appointed by President George Washington. In fact, Wilson taught the first course on the new Constitution to President Washington and his cabinet, the first in the nation's history, in Philadelphia, at the University of Pennsylvania in 1789. Wilson, in his law lectures, the first of their kind under the Constitution, plainly states that the Senate may not ignore the Constitution in impeachment proceedings. He states that lawful and constitutional conduct may not be used as an impeachable offense. Let me say that again. He states that lawful and constitutional conduct may not be used as an impeachable offense. Read along with me. The doctrine of impeachments is of high import in the constitutions of free states. On one hand, the most powerful magistrate should be amenable to the law. On the other hand, elevated characters should not be sacrificed merely on account of their elevation. No one should be secure while he violates the Constitution and the laws. Everyone should be secure while he observes them. To be clear, James Wilson is saying that the Constitution does indeed apply when judging whether to convict an official by impeachment. If the complaint of conduct is constitutional, it cannot be impeachable. Are we to ignore the words and teachings of James Wilson? The House managers surely want you to. The House managers have made several references to this letter, signed by 140 partisan law professors, calling Mr. Trump's First Amendment defense legally frivolous. This is really an outrageous attempt to intimidate Mr. Trump's lawyers. Whenever a lawyer advances a truly frivolous argument, they may violate professional ethical rules and could be subject to discipline. This letter is a direct threat to my law license, my career, and my family's financial well-being. These law professors should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the House managers. How dare you? Do you really hate Donald Trump so much that you're willing to destroy good, hard-working people's lives, people that are only doing their jobs, and frankly, as counsel for an accused fulfilling a constitutional role? It's astounding, really. I'm a citizen, not a politician. I know these First Amendment arguments are not anywhere close to frivolous. They're completely meritorious. Interestingly, the law professor's letter was issued on February 5th, 3 days before we even filed our legal brief in this matter, and they ignored landmark, bedrock Supreme Court cases directly addressing this issue. In our brief, we have a direct quote from James Wilson, the founding father supporting our position. The direct quote was documented in the founding fathers' original legal papers. Do I have those with me? On the subject. He was the primary draftsman of the Constitution who taught the new Constitution to President Washington. He says so long as acts of elected officials like Mr. Trump are constitutionally protected, he should not be impeached. We have landmark U.S. Supreme Court decisions, Wood and Bonds, which I'll explain in detail, supporting our position. All of this the House managers and the partisan law professors completely and misleadingly ignore. Frivolous? Hardly. The letter is a bully tactic, and I think evidence is the House managers know they have a problem with the First Amendment defense on the merits, so they're resorting to such tactics. The House manager's suggestion that the First Amendment does not apply to this impeachment process is completely untenable. Ignoring the First Amendment would conflict with the senator's oath of office. It would also conflict with well-settled Supreme Court precedent and ignore the intent of the framers of the Constitution, such as James Wilson. Above all else, ignoring the Constitution would adopt the new Raskin common sense doctrine we heard yesterday, eroding hundreds of years of First Amendment protections. We are here under the Constitution. It is illogical what the House managers say. The Constitution does apply to this constitutional impeachment process. It's double talk, nonsense, illogical. If the House managers had their way, they would ignore all of the Constitution. Does that include the Sixth Amendment? The right to counsel? They would have Mr. Trump sitting here without lawyers. And who would be next? It could be anyone. One of you or one of you. You must reject this invitation to ignore the First Amendment. It is anti-American and would set dangerous precedent forever. The law has developed over the years to clearly establish elected officials have the right to engage in protected speech. Mr. Trump is not just a guy on the street or a guy at a bar or a fire chief or a police officer. There were a few of them in there. All analogies given by the House managers. These sideways analogies are wrong. Mr. Trump was an elected official, and there is an entire body of law, Supreme Court landmark cases supporting the conclusion that Mr. Trump actually has enhanced free speech rights because he is an elected official. These cases are ignored by the House managers and the law professors. And that, too, is total intellectual dishonesty. The Supreme Court has long held that the First Amendment's right to freedom of speech protects elected officials. Two important on-point decisions from the Supreme Court.
Once again, we're going to break away from ABC's special report on former President Donald Trump's second impeachment trial. We want to bring you a weather update again.
Justin Horn is here, and he's been tracking it all for us. Justin, how's it looking right now?
Right now, it is quiet, cold, but quiet. Let's go outside for you. We've got cloudy skies. Temperatures now still in the 30s, 35 at the airport, down to 33 at Randolph. And you'll notice the winds, northerly at 17 miles per hour. That's going to produce a pretty significant wind chill. It is really cold out there, and it's going to get even colder as we go forward in time. Visible satellite picture shows that it is cloudy everywhere. We are not picking up on any returns, though, as far as precipitation goes, and that's good news. A little bit of a break, especially up across the hill country where there's still some ice in place. Temperatures still below freezing. Some of the trees, metal signs, things like that, collected quite a bit of ice yesterday with the precipitation, and it still may be there. There still may be some slick spots on some of the roads up there, too. Here in San Antonio, roads are in good shape for now. 32 degrees in Bulverde, 32 Canyon Lake, 31 in New Braunfels, 32 Bernie Stage, 30 up there in Comfort, and then above freezing for most of Bexar County. As we zoom out some, your below freezing temperatures are going to be up there in the hill country, 28. Again, Fredericksburg, 28 in Junction. And looking at the wind chill, when you factor in those gusty northerly winds, it feels like 27 here in town. Feels like 31 in Kerrville and 28 in Fredericksburg. And if you think that's cold, just wait, because I think we could have some wind chills in the single digits by Monday morning. It is going to get awful cold. Here's a look at the forecast for today. I think we'll top out probably upper 30s with those breezy winds. A look across the state. It's 24 right now in Dallas. A little bit of snow reported there earlier. 17 Lubbock, 13 in Amarillo. El Paso, The one spot where the Arctic air has not reached, 61 there, still fairly warm, but the rest of the state is underneath the clouds and this dome of very, very cold air. And you'll notice off to the west, we've got some more precipitation starting to work towards Texas. This is what we're going to watch tomorrow, as it could produce some freezing rain and sleet. Looking at the forecast, this is at 5 p.m. today. Things are still quiet, but by tomorrow morning, some freezing drizzle could start to develop. And that freezing line is going to be very close to San Antonio, so we'll have to watch the roads here. And then tomorrow, some light precipitation, but that could be enough. Some freezing rain, maybe some sleet too, here across parts of Bexar County and especially the hill country. So some more travel issues tomorrow that we're going to have to look out for. Then beyond that, as we get into Sunday, a little bit of a break, maybe Sunday morning, even into Sunday afternoon. But then our next larger system comes in. This will bring some freezing rain, some sleet, and then that may transition over to snow as we get into Monday morning. That combination of some ice with snow on top of it is not going to be good for driving at all. So Monday morning, roads will be treacherous, I think, most of the day on Monday because temperatures will stay below freezing. And then as we get into Tuesday morning, we'll clear out, but it's going to be very, very cold. And oh, by the way, we're not done yet because another little system comes in on Wednesday that may produce some more wintry weather. Pretty incredible to see this here in South Texas. But here's how the forecast plays out. 35 degrees tomorrow, 40% chance of showers, ice, maybe some sleet. 34 on Sunday, 70% chance of ice transitioning over to some snow by Monday morning. We will get some clearing on Monday, but only 28 for a high. 14 Tuesday morning, approaching records. 33 on Tuesday, and then 37 Wednesday with a 30% chance of a wintry mix. As always, our weather app will be there to keep you updated with whatever is going on. We put those updates in there often, and you can check out the radar there as well, guys.
So it's going to be a busy weekend for you guys, but you're going to keep everybody up to date.
Absolutely.
All right, Justin, thanks. You know, he's talking about icy roads. Sometimes driving on icy roads is unavoidable, but there are things you can do to stay safe. We saw the danger of icy roads in Fort Worth with that massive pileup yesterday. 65 people hurt, 6 people lost their lives. Across the country, slick roads and freezing weather led to several devastating accidents in recent days. So what do you need to know to stay safe when driving on frozen roads?
Take your time, allow plenty of following distance between yourself and the vehicle in front of you.
Experts also say you should also make sure your tires are in good condition, and if the treads are worn down, you need to replace them like now. Cars with low treads will take longer to come to a full stop when you hit those brakes. And of course, ice on the roadways is a major concern, especially in the next few days.
Well, we know that in the world of weather, layers, hand warmers are our best friend, but in terms of traffic, probably ice scraper or just stay home.
Yeah, you need the ice scraper. We were doing some prep for the weekend. We were talking with AAA about that. Some of the ice scrapers are hard to find right now.
Tell me about
so you
it.
can use things like a credit card or some other sort of hard plastic. It's a little harder to deal with, but it's definitely something that's cheaper and you probably have at hand, like an old credit card, of course, or an old hotel key or something like that.
You can't just run to the store and get ice scrapers these days?
Well, I mean, you can, but yeah, well, exactly. I mean, they don't have many. There are some, but they don't have many. But taking a look at the roads, so far, things looking mostly good in San Antonio. Some normal delays you might see here. Justin mentioned that it's still below freezing in New Braunfels. So that's something to watch out for if you're on the roads up in that area, too. Just maybe some icy spots still. So watch out for that. So let's take a closer look here at what's happening in the hill country, though. Still have a big situation here on I-10. This is Kerrville to the south on your screen, and you see up toward Junction there. I-10 had been closed. Now you cross over into the San Angelo TxDOT district once you hit the Kerr County line there into Kimball County, and they're telling us that they are reopening I-10, but there's so much of a backup. A viewer reached out to me, said her daughter had been there since about 5 or 6 last night, stuck in this traffic. So that's something to keep in mind and watch out for people who might have been. They are moving. It's very slow, but they are moving. So that'll be some good news. And hopefully they get inside and get home before having to deal with the weekend. Let's take a look at TransGuide here in town. This is I-10 at Vance Jackson. Just wanted to show you that things are flowing pretty well there, David and Alicia. But again, watch out for some icy spots, particularly overnight and over the weekend.
All right, Samuel, thank you very much. Take a look outside with live cam. This may be one of those weekends where you actually want to keep the kids inside. It's going to be so cold. You always like to send them out and let them enjoy the snow and the weather, and maybe not so
snow,
much.
but
So
not
don't let that don't let that fool you right there.
We're going to go to break, and after that, we'll rejoin the special report.